We've been covering lately how the government is getting more and more savvy with its surveillance capabilities, and controversial bills like SOPA, PIPA, and now CISPA aim to expand that power. But there are some people taking action to keep their freedom of privacy. One such man is Nadim Kobaisi. He was once a master hacker, but now he's using his advanced cyber smarts not to make a profit, but to find ways to help people keep their online activities private. And he invented this site. It's called CryptoCat, and it allows you to send messages online in private. And it does this by using encryption technology, so the messages are disguised to look like nonsense to anyone else. And it allows up to 10 people at a time to speak privately in a chat room. To talk about this, hacker turned CryptoCat creator Nadim Kobaisi. Welcome, Nadim. So you
Hello,
were
Liz.
once.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. You were once a master hacker, but you've turned over a new leaf and are now in the business of keeping people's online business private. Tell us about how you made this transition.
Well, I don't think I was ever a master hacker. I was always interested in hacking in the sense that it's a practice in which you use computers and digital means to establish tools that may be used for social or political purposes. I was always that, and I will remain that if you consider this to be the definition of a hacker. But a master hacker would be perhaps pulling it too far.
Okay, but you're pretty good at what you do, so you're pretty good at hacking. And have you gotten into trouble with the law with this in the past?
Well, I haven't exactly been in trouble. There have been some times where it has been suggested to me that what I'm doing may be perhaps dangerous. It might be, it might be controversial. But I feel that I'm lucky enough to be able to develop CryptoCat with a large amount of support, thankfully.
And tell us about this project, CryptoCat. What is it? How does it work?
Well, a lot of people like to use Facebook Chat and Google Talk and web IM services like that, and that's great. But these services actually communicate what you're talking about to Facebook and Google, and there's no privacy. Your communications can easily be intercepted by these parties and also by governmental organizations. So CryptoCat does the same thing. It tries to establish a similar web IM service that's easy to use, just as easy to use, but at the same time, there's also a transparent layer of encryption. So it remains easily accessible to people who want privacy for personal or professional matters, but also it makes it so that even me, the CryptoCat server, can't see what you're talking about. We've been working on the project for almost a year now, and it's getting better and better, and hopefully soon it'll be very impressively secure.
And how many people use this now?
Well, currently I think we're averaging about 300 conversations per day on the server. So considering that each conversation has at least 2 people participating in it, I would say there is at least 600 people a day using it. But the conversations may fit up to 10 people. Okay,
and so why do you see a need for something like this? There are, as you said, a lot of ways to chat online these days. How much of a demand do you expect there to be for this software?
Well, I come from the Middle East, where government surveillance is very well entrenched in the countries there. And I think that there, things like CryptoCat and things also like the Tor project are much less of a commodity and more of a need. And here also in the West, there has been an unfortunate trend where laws like SOPA came close to passing, and now CISPA too, which is quite dangerous. And also in Canada, things like Bill C-11 and Bill C-50. And I think that's an unfortunate trend that might be driving away potential software engineers, even journalists and human rights workers. And so we see things like CryptoCat, things like the Tor project, and other human rights computer software move from the realm of a commodity to a realm of a need around the world.
Now, people that do make the transition to CryptoCat presumably will do so because they want to keep their conversations online private. So, but how do people know, and how are they able to trust that their information will in fact be private?
Well, CryptoCat has been under development for almost a year now. It uses strong encryption, but we're still trying to make it 1000% safe so that it can survive even extremely tough situations. For example, when you're out on the field somewhere in Iran trying to evade a government that might, do you harm in case they discover what you're working on. But also, people can know that CryptoCat does what it says it does is because it's free software, in the sense that the code is open, it's freely available, people can check the programming code themselves, they can even build it and even improve upon it themselves. So our development process is absolutely, completely transparent. The code is open. We even use open standards and specifications that are also freely available. And there's a blog that documents the development process. And you can yourself participate in making CryptoCat better as a developer or as a computer activist.
Now, Nadeem, you just mentioned how big social media has played, for example, in the Middle East. A lot of people say that the Arab Spring wouldn't be possible without social media. And now something like this would enable these kinds of communications to happen without the threat of a government shutting down or without the threat of somebody watching them. What is your vision for this technology? How far do you hope this to go?
I definitely think that computer human rights technology like this is extremely important. I think it provides the infrastructure. It doesn't provide the will. You see, the Arab Spring, I think, happened because there were many Egyptians and Tunisians who were and other people from other countries who were very brave and also very dissatisfied, very grievous. And I think that was the fire that made the Arab Spring possible. But I think also that the computer, human rights computer technology can, hopefully CryptoCat in the future when it's ready to be used in such very, very dangerous situations, and also things like OTR and the Tor project, I think they provide the infrastructure for those people who are very grievous with their governments to be able to carry out their protestations and civil disobedience more efficiently, and to be able to avoid surveillance and possible counteractions from a government that will stop at nothing to silence them.
Now, Nadeem, this sounds like a great idea. Everybody wants privacy, especially these days since it's becoming more scarce. But I have to ask about the possible dangers with this, because up to 10 people can chat in complete secrecy at one time. What about this software being used for criminal purposes, for terror plots, child molesters, you name it? They can now communicate in complete secrecy and use this as a tool.
I understand that concern, and it's been addressed to me before. My answer is that these bad criminal people, terrorists, child pornographers, they've existed for thousands of years. And you are not going to resolve the issue by removing the civil rights of the majority of people who do not commit these actions. These people are better resolved. These people suffer from mental illnesses. That's what drives them to do things like this. And I believe that those kind of things are better resolved through education, through social programs, through outreach to people in trouble who do those things. I don't think you will ever be able to solve these problems by simply restricting the freedoms and the rights of the majority of people and trying more and more and more to establish this security theater, which just gives this vestige of everything being under control, while in reality all you're doing is just invading the privacy of people who just simply want to get a job done or simply want to lead a lifestyle in which they embrace their typical civil liberties. The better option, instead of invading the rights of all these people in the name of fear, then it is much better that you actually take out the problem at the root and actually figure out why there are criminals that are committing these crimes, and actually helping resolve the problem so that society is healthier in the first place.
Okay, but would there be any safeguard, Nadeem, in these scenarios where there could possibly be people that are using the software for criminal purposes?
Well, it depends what you mean by safeguard. If you mean that the software will automatically detect when it's being used for a terrible purpose, then I don't think it can count as security software at all. But I think you'd have to elaborate by how you think such a safeguard could be possible.
Okay. I mean, if I guess it would kind of defeat the purpose if words came up where it would spark some interest in somebody possibly talking about terrorist-related issues, or somebody, using it to plot their crime in a neighborhood. This would all be kept in secret, presumably.
That's what happens right now. I believe right now that there are some filters that determine, for example, in text messages. I mean, I come from Montreal, and recently we had a perfectly normal businessman, Montreal citizen, who was arrested because they thought that he was texting terrorist messages, while in reality he was telling his friends to blow away the competition at a sports match. And this is an example where this sort of technology can have an overreach that is really quite invasive. And I don't think that if you want to work on privacy software, that you can deem yourself to have the right to be able to be selective about what remains private and what doesn't. As I said before, this sort of problem will always exist. No matter what happens, there will always be people who will commit bad things. And it's better to resolve that issue by making society healthier in the first place, from the beginning, from the root. You establish better education programs. You establish social programs to prohibit those things from occurring, to prohibit people from being this desperate. And that's the better way to solve those things. It's better to do that than to wait until the problem evolves and then just attack it at the same time as removing the civil liberties of everyone else. And I mean, examples like this can be seen developing not only in the East, but also in the West.
All right, Nadeem. So this software is being developed right now. Any word on an app coming out for it?
Yes, in fact, we already have an app for Google Chrome that works locally in your Chrome browser. We also just finished an Android app, which is not on the App Store yet, but there's a development build that works pretty well. And we're also coming out with an iOS, iPhone app, and a BlackBerry app very soon. They're all going to be free and free software with open source code, presumably just the same as the rest of CryptoCat, which is accessible already via your browser.
All right, Nadeem, thank you very much for coming on the show. Very interesting. That was Nadeem Kobaisi, computer security researcher of CryptoCat.
Thank you.